Hello everybody, it's Keith. Help support the Northeast scene and declare yourself a member today. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or your podcast medium of choice. Rate us and leave a review. Every little bit helps. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It has every podcast episode plus other exclusive content. Like and leave a comment. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at TheNEScene. Also, continue to write us at northeastscene@gmail.com. We want to share your experiences as well. And now, here's the show.
You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. The inches we need are everywhere around us. Hell yeah. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. Now, I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. Hell yeah. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. Right? That's a team, gentlemen. Hell yeah. Now, what are you gonna do?
Hello everybody and welcome to the Northeast Scene Podcast. This is Keith.
And Tommy.
And we are here on a very special 1-year anniversary show. It's our special day, Tommy.
I was trying to explain this to the girls, like why this was an important show. And like the only context they had for like celebrating something is they have their 100th day of school celebration.
Yeah.
And they would like, is it your 100th episode? And I was like, no. And they're like, then why are you doing anything? I'm like, the best way I could explain it was, it's the show's birthday. And they were like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you should probably have a party then.
It's the show's birthday. We're having a party. We've been doing this podcast for a year now. And, you know, when we recorded those first 4 episodes in that hotel room in Center City, Philadelphia, a year ago, we had no idea what was in store, you know? We were blissfully unaware that COVID would keep us inside for the entire next year. We didn't know how to record. We didn't know how often the show was going to air. We didn't know what we were doing. But we got there, and we had Mike Shaw on. We had Pat Shannon on, who were kind enough to sit with us and share their stories. And we got it done. We did it. And you know what? The show ended up becoming weekly, which I'm glad because we're here now every week with you to bring you the finest conversations with artists from all over the world. And celebrating with us on today's show, we're going to have Richie Taver, who mixes down the sound for us for the show. He's an engineer. He's an artist. He's a musician. We're going to talk to Richie. We're going to talk to Mike Shaw from This Day Forward. He was our very first guest on the show, and we'll be back to catch up with him. And last but not least, friend of the show, Josh Brigham of Hopesfall. We'll be catching up with him as well. It's a celebration of life, of the show, of our friends, and it's going to be a great time.
It's a celebration, bitches.
That's right. That's right. You know what's crazy? Our YouTube videos don't get too many views. Like,
Oh yeah.
because people mostly listen to us on Apple and Spotify. The episode where I make fun of the Beatles and we like make fun of the Doors and shit, it got like over 300 views.
I was so. What did I text you last? When you told me about this, I texted you back and I was like, no shit, because E-Town Concrete fucking rules. And on top of that, the day is theirs. The night is also theirs as well. Like,
Yeah, for real. Maybe because I threw the hashtag Beatles in there. Like all the Beatles fans listen to it and we're like, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
are there a ton of comments? Is it just people like arguing in the comments, or is it just?
No, that's what I thought. I was like, maybe I started like World War III, and I went and looked, no comments. I was like,
okay, good.
Yeah. Or maybe people liked the Beatles parody songs so much that they listened to it over and over again. Yeah, probably not. But anyway, folks, it's been 1 year of the Northeast Scene podcast. I didn't even conceive that I would ever do a podcast, let alone weekly, for a year. So it's actually kind of stunning to me that we're doing this. And I've said it on the show before, I'll say it again. Every week, right before we record, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm too nervous. I stink. It's too much. I can't do it. And then we finish and I'm like, that was great. And then I go to edit it and I'm like, this is too much work. I can't do it. I can't listen to myself. I have to stop. And then I finish editing it and I send it off to Richie to be mixed. And I'm like, yes, another one in the books. And it's the same cycle every week. But I'm just going to keep going. We're going to keep going, Tommy.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah. This is literally all I have to do now besides work.
Yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong. There's other stuff I do. But as far as like creative pursuit, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
We don't have bands or anything like that.
I'm learning how to play Landslide on acoustic.
Oh, nice.
Like, I don't know how to finger pick really well, so I'm like learning Travis picking right now, and it's it you know, slow at first, but it's getting there.
That's nice. I like that. And folks, stay on for after the interviews. Tommy and I are going to talk about some of our favorite guests and some of our favorite moments from those shows. That's going to be in the last segment of the show, so stick around for that. I didn't pull any clips or anything like that because I'm lazy, and I don't want to go back and listen to all the shows and find all the clips and pull them. But we're going to talk about them. And if you're new to the show, you know, you'll have some good mile markers for places to start to listen. Because, I mean, every episode of this show is classic and wonderful and excellent. But, you know, some really stand out. Sometimes we get into some really deep, awesome conversations, and we're going to be talking about some of those.
I love it. I think the biggest thing with this is like, I'm always surprised, and this is how I figure it out, is at the end of this, like when we're done recording segments, Keith and I always make sure we keep the same naming conventions for like the files. And I go, Keith, what episode is this? And he'll go, it's 51. And I'm like, fuck, we've done 51 of these. Every time I say it, I'm like, Jesus, it's that many fucking. And it's like from week to week, I somehow have like this selective amnesia. Like I forget that number, and I'm always like stunned by it. But yeah, here we are, dude, a year later.
And we do this completely by ourselves because I've realized over the years you can't really count on anybody. So we do it ourselves. I figured out how to record it. I figured out how to make the artwork. I made the social media. Tommy and I talk about the guests. Tommy and I get together and record this thing together. Richie helps us out with the sound. It's us three. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way I want it. You know, more people, it gets confusing.
And keep it in-house, because then you, like, I think the thing is like, the more we have to spread it around, the more likely someone's going to drop the ball. Like, at least...
Yes.
But, like, at least we hold each other accountable. Like, you know, I'll text you and say, like, hey, what time are we recording? You're like, all right, I'm waiting on a text back from so-and-so. We're probably going to record Monday at 6. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. I'm going to set that time aside, and I'll be able to go back and make sure that, like, if anything changes, we'll be able to kind of, like, reorient and, like, during the week, I can carve out a couple hours and we can record.
Yeah, and we have this shit down to a science now. It's like a 3-person band, and that's the best. Like, it's like audience of one. It's perfect. Not too many people, not too many opinions, not too much confusion.
Yep, you just show up, do the work, and be done.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. This show is partly about like our relationship and like us talking about our lives and, like our relationship to music and that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is around the guests. Like that's what we focus on. And actually we've hit on this in the last like probably like 10 interviews or so, but like, the guest will eventually go, we haven't really talked about the band. And it's like, yeah, we know, like, what are we going to do? Sit there and have a conversation about like what kind of guitars you used when you record or what gauge string you use? Who gives a fuck? Like, this isn't that podcast. We're here to talk about
no guest has ever complained that we didn't talk about the band, but guests have been happy. Several guests have said that we're happy. They're happy we talk about stuff other than music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Keith, you always preface it with like, this isn't an interview.
Yeah.
This is a conversation. It's
one nice long conversation. I'm more interested in the people than the actual music, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Because the thing is, the music is the music. It's already there. If you want to go listen to it, fucking YouTube it. Like,
yeah, like I don't care how it was recorded necessarily or where. I don't care about gear. I care about the meaning behind songs.
Yeah.
Or if there's like a theme, you know what I mean? Because I like to see like what the connection is and that kind of stuff. I love drama. I'm always digging for drama. That's fun.
Yeah, that's one of those things I don't really care about, I guess. Like
I
when
love it.
I know you always ask a question like, hey, is there anything you guys have gone through or difficult to, like as a band that's been really difficult for you guys?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I always am kind of on my end, like cringing just a little bit like, oh no, this person is going to fucking hang up on us. Like,
no, they can just say no.
Yeah, no. And people actually, there's a few guests that have been like, yeah, there's some stuff that has happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, they leave it at that. But I think that's kind of one of those things that, if people are willing to talk about that kind of stuff and they just need the kind of the right question to get them there. Like, this isn't an interview at gunpoint. We're not telling anybody to say something crazy.
I ask in a way where they can just say no easily if they want to. And if they don't want to, I'm going to drop it.
I always think about it like work. Like if somebody said to me at work, like, hey, can you do this? And you're not my boss. Like, no. Like if I'm able to do it and I can actually help out, yeah, for sure. I'll do it. But if I'm like swamped with stuff, like I have lesson plans due or I have to go make copies and they're like, hey, could you do this for me? Not right now. Sorry. Like, cause here's the thing. There's 30 other teachers. Go find somebody like that. Like it's not there's a fairly large pool of people to, get from. Like with this, it's like, if they want to answer the question, they can, but we're not sitting there telling them they have to talk about things that are uncomfortable. But if they choose to, that's great because especially if it's something that's been kind of like either lingering or kind of festering and they've been like, you know what, I actually want to talk about this now. And I'm glad you guys brought it up. It's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Because usually that means they haven't really talked about it publicly either.
I want exclusives here. Like I want someone to say they're leaving the band on the show.
Oh, I don't want. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that.
Or no, you know what I want to do? I want to like have a major announcement here.
Oh yeah.
If there's two people who are fighting really bad, I want to like have them both on the show and broker some kind of peace deal.
Oh.
Yeah. I would do that too.
That would be cool. You become like a divorce mediator. Like, yeah,
I want to be the center of everything. And I think I would be good at the mediation thing.
I don't think I'd be good at it because I don't immediately take a side, but like, when somebody like, all right, when they announce like a court case and they say the people of the state of California versus, and I'm like, they probably did it.
Depending on what the state is.
They brought it to trial. Like they fucking have enough evidence. Like clearly, like the district attorney thinks they're gonna fucking get you for something. Like they're not bringing this for no reason. And then sometimes you find out like, oh yeah, no, they had a vendetta. They fucking brought this for what makes really little, basically no sense. And then you're like, oh, I guess I was wrong. But yeah, as soon as I feel like as soon as I hear someone's the defendant, I'm like, they probably did that. Like, I feel like you're already on the defensive because they're accusing you of doing something. It's like, shit, dude.
Well, folks, we're going to talk to our guests now. Enjoy these conversations. Check back with us in the end so we can continue celebrating us. Enjoy. All right, folks, we're here now with engineer and musician extraordinaire Richie Taver. Richie, welcome to the show.
What it do?
So how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I think the seasonal depression is sort of setting in at the moment with quarantine kind of amplifying that, but all things considered, I'm doing all right. I'm doing good.
Glad to hear it. And I wanted to have Richie on the show today because, folks, as you know, it's our year celebration, 1 year of the Northeast scene, and this is a three-man operation. The three people you hear speaking to you right now. I record it and edit it and handle all the social media. Tommy is pure talent. He just shows up, lays it down, and then walks away until the next one. And Richie is our engineer. So, Richie, you have the pleasure of hearing our voices every week and mixing this thing down to perfection. How does it feel?
It's good. I do want to correct you though. I don't engineer it actually. I just help you mix and fine tune everything for the final product. You're actually the engineer here. So
help me understand the difference. What's engineering and what's mixing?
So engineering is I'd say kind of like a loose term in the audio and music field. Basically anyone that sets up the gear to get ready for pre-production, for recording and everything involved in that, I would say.
Okay. So mixing is just adjusting the levels and all that stuff, and that's what you do for us.
Yeah, technically I'm your mixing engineer. You're the engineer here.
Wow. So you hear that, Tommy? I'm an engineer.
I actually was thinking about this. We should all just make who do we relate to? Who is Richie in terms of 90s Stern?
Oh, so I guess
he's not Gary.
No, I guess he would be like Fred, even though Fred doesn't mix the show per se, he's like the sound effects guy. I see Richie as Fred because he's like in the background and he knows a lot about sound. He's a musician, like that type of deal.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. You
get to be Stern in this one.
I like that. I notice a lot of similarities. Not the bad ones, only the good ones, But yeah, anyway, Richie, welcome to the show. It's great to get to talk to you here now.
It's a pleasure.
I met Richie through Vadim Taver. The last name is not a coincidence. Vadim is Richie's brother. So I was recording an album back in 2018, and I was looking for somewhere to do it, and Vadim is like, hey, my brother records. And I was like, I did not know that. So I hit up Richie, and we recorded the album in September of 2018. Now, Richie...
It's been that long, huh?
It has been that long.
Wow.
It has been that long. It doesn't feel like that long, but it has been. And Richie, I have a wild imagination, and Tommy's going to laugh as I start to explain this, but here's a story that I put together in my mind, and you tell me how much of it is true or not true. All right. So we recorded the album, and I'm like super particular, so I came back with like a ton of edits during the mixing process and the mastering process and, back and forth. And I feel like you got annoyed at me.
Oh.
and then like a year later, I was going to record more songs and you said you weren't working with that studio anymore so that, you weren't doing that right now. So in my mind, I was like, oh, Richie doesn't like me. He's annoyed because I came back with so many edits, like I was a pain in the ass to work with, and that's why he doesn't want to record with me again. Is any of that true?
Buddy. No. No, if any of that annoyance came out, I think it's just part of the job, like little tendencies that come out so that I can focus on doing what I do best and trying to internalize what the client wants in a professional manner. So sometimes it does come out just because of the nature of the job. But no, I was never annoyed with you, I would say.
All right, that's good to hear. And I was so pleasantly surprised when you hit me up and you're like, hey, I see you're doing this podcast. If you want some help mixing it, like, I can help. And I was like, oh, awesome. Yeah, let's do this. And you know what? I'm so glad that you are, because that's the one piece I can't do myself. And I mean, you complete the trifecta of the Northeast scene.
Well, I'll show you my tricks if you want.
Yeah.
But then I'd be out of a job.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rich, you don't talk yourself out of a salary here. Stop. What are you doing?
No, I am going to ask him for that at some point, but I'm going to pay him a fee for his time to show me the ropes.
Honestly, it's all really, really straightforward. I mean, I've been with you guys now, coming up on a year. I didn't start right away with you, right? Because
No, you came in on episode 7 with Josh Brigham of Hopesfall, also on today's show.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, I have kind of a chain set up for myself, and I kind of just go through the check boxes and make sure that everything's working the way that it's supposed to. And there's always adjustments that need to be made, but a lot of it is streamlined for myself, which is very, very helpful. Going through every episode, kind of jumping around and making sure nothing is too out of the norm.
Right. And you've helped me too. Like I used to edit everything in one big track, which seems insane now. And you told me how to set up like individual tracks for everybody and kind of edit it that way, and that has really changed things for me.
It's very important.
Yeah. I can't even imagine doing it the old way anymore. Oh, and you know what's funny? That first episode that we worked on together, it's one of the longest episodes, and I had to go back and edit the entire thing twice. I forget why. But it was like 2.5 hours, and by the end of it, I just wanted to quit the show.
I don't blame you. Yeah, editing something twice is a nightmare. Editing something once is a nightmare.
The editing is the absolute worst part of this whole thing, because, I don't know, it just takes so long, because I put so much effort into it. Mm-hmm. But when I'm finally done, and I send the files off to you to be mixed, I have this amazing, happy feeling, and I'm like, this is all worth it.
It's a very accomplished feeling. I'm right there with you. How long does it take you to do an hour? Like if you're given an hour's worth of material, how long does it take to edit?
It would probably take me 2 nights.
Yeah.
It takes me probably, I can do like 45 minutes. The interviews are usually an hour and a half. I usually do half one night, half the other night, and that takes anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours. Because I do a little, take a break, Mm-hmm. And I get tired of hearing myself. I mean, don't you?
Yes.
Get tired of hearing me, I mean.
I get tired of hearing myself. Right now, this is annoying.
Yeah, dude. When we started this thing, editing the first few episodes was like really weird. It took me a while to get used to the sound of my voice, but we're getting there. But folks, let's find out about Richie a little bit. Now, you grew up in Bucks County, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
And how was it living with Vadim? Was he like a big pain in the ass? Did you guys get along?
It wasn't living with Vadim. There wasn't much there. So most people don't know. Most people that do know that we're brothers know that there's kind of an age difference there. We're actually 11 years apart, which is pretty big for most siblings, I would say.
Yeah.
But for the majority of my childhood, he wasn't really in the picture because he was in bands at that point and touring months on and months off. He'd just be working, and then the cycle would repeat itself. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely were very friendly growing up with one another. There weren't really any fights with how two siblings would be considering that age difference. But the majority of the time, he was pretty much out of the picture. And then he moved when I was still going through, I want to say like middle school, high school, 2003 or 4. Okay. So by the point of where I'd potentially be a better friend with him, he had already moved out to the West Coast. So from there, it was just kind of like long distance relationships, flying out to him flying out here. And since then, actually, our friendship's actually gotten a lot stronger and better, and we're best of friends up until now. I just talked to him last night. We played chess for like a half hour, and he beat my butt.
I would not want to play Vadim in chess, not at all.
Yeah, I usually regret it, even when I say yeah.
Can I ask you guys something? This is one of those things that I've noticed about just from Richie. I don't know you personally. I think I've only met you maybe 2 or 3 times, and it was through when Vadim came home to visit for Christmas.
Yeah, I feel like I met you at John Mariakis' house.
That's exactly that's exactly where it was.
Yeah.
But it was really funny. When Keith said, "Oh, we're having Vadim's brother mix all the stuff. Can you here's his Instagram." And I was like, "Oh, cool." How is it that both of you are like completely self-driven with learning? You're teaching yourself Japanese. I saw that on Instagram, and I was like, so they're both phenomenal. You guys are both really, really, really good guitar players. You're a multi-instrumentalist.
Thank you.
And you guys both take up hobbies that are like, most people are like, oh, my hobby is, video games, or my hobby is I like to sample beer or something like that. You guys pick very academic things or very difficult things to kind of like occupy your time. Why?
Just to fill the void, buddy.
But I always think about it like this. Like, is it was something that when you were raised, like, like your mom was like, no, this is important. School is important. Take your time with these things. Like, is it?
Oh no, I was a piece of shit growing up. I was a nightmare to my mom, and bless her heart that her and I still have a great relationship. No, I was a nightmare. I didn't care about school. I actually didn't even pick up music again until high school. Way after Vadim had moved. But I think now in my life, as far as that drive goes to continue learning, I feel that that's really the only source I have in my life that feeds any sort of inspiration, any sort of creativity. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I think a lot of that stems from my grandfather, who passed away recently. I'm not sure if Vadim's like ever talked to you guys about him, but he was an accomplished scientist in the Soviet Union, accomplished metallurgist, has like something like 20 plus patents under his name.
Wow.
All these manuscripts and these blueprints for different steel alloys that he invented that are currently being used. I think he's in the Library of Congress too, which is pretty nuts. So a lot of that drive, I think innately, maybe on a DNA level too, comes from him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So Richie, give us some of your musical background, how you got into it, how you learned the various things that you do. Because, I mean, you record, you play guitar, you play piano, you do it all.
Well, yeah, like I had just mentioned, I played a little bit of violin when I was pretty young. My mom kind of forced me into it. Then I started doing drugs at an early age and thought that music was stupid. So I stopped playing anything for a while.
How old were you when you started doing drugs?
I smoked weed for the first time when I was 12, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that's early.
Yeah, I don't remember when I had my first drink.
Life.
It was that, yeah. It was
that Trevo's Feasterville life.
Trevo's Feasterville life, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was just hanging out with the wrong kids, and I was like, this is all dumb, fuck this, fuck that, and really didn't care about much music of anything until Vadim was out of the picture. I was like, oh, this big shadow's out of the way, now I can like do my own thing, which I wish I would have done earlier, because he had sold some guitars that like I would have loved to have at this point. Yeah, he had like this teal Gibson SG that I would have loved to have right now. And he was like, "Oh no, I sold that when I moved." And I was like, "Man, if I did that a couple years earlier, would have
Yeah.
been mine." But anyway, so I picked up guitar early in high school and just fell in love with it and just practicing hours and hours a day until I got tendonitis in my left wrist. I had to get physical therapy for that, which thankfully it hasn't shown up again since then. And
good.
yeah, I started taking all these music classes in my senior year, and from there went off to Bucks County Community College for their music program, which oddly enough, their music program's pretty acclaimed as far as music studies go in America. They have teachers there from like Juilliard and these doctors at this random community college in some podunk suburb, you know. Yeah, so I learned a lot there. Started learning piano there and a few other instruments, and started joining bands, like little like rock bands that I started that didn't go anywhere. Some jazz bands. Started playing with my buddy Rob, who I think you guys had mentioned on this show before.
Oh, is that Rob Devious, the Shed guy?
The Shed guy. I was just hanging out with him this past weekend. Yeah,
Nice.
we're really good friends.
Yeah.
So I had started playing with him in like a neo soul R&B sort of hip hop group, backing up a singer, and in another band backing up a hip hop artist. And we had done that for a few years. Then just got a few other calls here and there for various bands. I was just recently in like an alt rock group, more or less, playing bass.
Oh, what was the name of that group again?
It was called Tiny Human, but we disbanded. I don't know if
So the whole band's done?
I don't know if that's public, but now it is. We broke up right before the pandemic hit.
What happened?
For lack of a better words, things just weren't working out.
Understood.
Yeah, so that had finished, and now I'm just kind of doing my own thing, just focusing on whatever I can while we're all inside.
You know, it must be great. Any kind of project you want to do, you can just sit down and do it. Like hip hop, alt country sounding stuff, rock, whatever you want to do. You have the know-how, you have the tools, you can sit down and do it. I want to get to that point at some point.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still learning. There's a lot that I miss the mark on, but I try every day.
Yeah, it's funny that you say like, oh, I wish I would have gotten into it younger. I'm like, dude, he's like 11 years younger than us. And I'm like, I want to do it now.
You had also asked about, Tommy, how I got into recording and stuff. That was sort of by chance. So going back, I had mentioned I was playing in a neo-soul sort of hip-hop backing band. About a year into being with this group already, they decided to have tryouts again for some reason for like a touring band. And they're like, hey, we need you to try out. I was like, the fuck do you mean? Like, I've been with you guys.
I'm in the band. Why would
I'm in the band. And they're like, well, yeah, you just have to do it. The management wants it. I was like, okay, whatever. So they're like, go to this location, this address, this time, this night. Somewhere near LaSalle out in Germantown. Showed up. It was at this really, really cool studio. Did my part. Obviously got it because I knew what I was playing at that point. I had all my little quirks that I was adding up until that point anyways. But I got to talking to one of the engineers that was there, and I was like, hey, like, I'm really interested in all of this stuff. Do you guys need an intern or like an assistant? And he's like, yeah, you got a car? I was like, yeah, I got a car. He's like, all right, yeah, hit me up in a month. So I did. And from there, that sort of all unfolded on itself. And I was going in there daily with these three dudes from Drexel, and they were basically teaching me and showing me everything at a college level without having to worry about a thing. It was
Wow.
it was pretty like serendipitous that all happened because now well, maybe not now, but for the past few years that was like my main source of income.
Yeah. So tell us, let's pretend that the COVID crisis hasn't been going on for a year. What kind of jobs were you working in music and where?
I was full-time doing live sound, live entertainment industry, working at venues, working for different live events companies, like staging companies, audio companies, doing conferences, big conferences, small conferences, live shows, big rock shows, whatever, you name it. So I would have been continuing with that if it weren't for this god-awful pandemic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you get the gigs? Do people just know you and they'll call you and say like, hey, we need you for this thing?
No, it was a lot of action on my part and going out and reaching out to people and seeing what the deal was, because I didn't even realize that was an option when I first started in a studio. It was like one of the guys there had a side gig doing staging and audio, and I was like, whoa, you can do money doing that too? Like, how do I get in? And he wouldn't tell me. He's like, oh no, like I don't know if they're looking for anyone. And about a month later after that, this is like I want to say 2015, 16 maybe. A month after he had told me that, funny enough, I was hanging out with our mutual friend John and was telling him, I think we went to like a comic convention or something, and I was telling him that I was interested in doing this. I don't know how to do it. And he's like, oh, one of my good friends like works for this company. I'll give you his name and his number, and hit that guy up, and he got me out to this brewery out in Bristol, Broken Goblet, I think, for some event that they were doing. For some reason, like Hawthorne Heights was the headliner. It was like a free show. So like my first job was like working for Hawthorne Heights, which was funny enough. But the funniest thing was that guy, he was the head engineer for this company that one of the engineers that I was talking to at that studio is working for, and he wouldn't tell me what the company was. So then I get it in with the boss, and I'm out on a job site, and like we run into one another, and he's like, oh, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I work for this company now. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah, you wouldn't tell me what was going on, so I found out for myself. So from there, it was just me reaching out to whoever I could in different venues, seeing what people I knew were working where, and really just kind of like weaseling my way into any place that I could, and it kind of worked out because, it was kind of spread around pretty well.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that people are like actively trying to keep you out?
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty weird. It takes me a second to realize that that's actually what's going on.
Yeah, it's like with this podcast, I've offered my help to get people set up kind of what I'm doing, and I've actually done it for, I think, one person. But it's funny, like the way the human brain works, or mine at least. Like at first I was like, oh no, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to hold on to these valuable secrets. But then I was like, asshole. Like when you started doing this thing remotely, you called someone and asked for help, and they helped you. You do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it should go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually pretty bummed because I was working outside of City Hall for a couple seasons at that point, in the summer and fall and a little bit of winter, through like Live Nation. I was kind of like my own guy. It was a one-man job setting up all of their events, coordinating with bands or entertainers. So it was a big mix of not only front of house sound, but production management and stage management kind of all in one. And it was cushy. It was really, really nice. And I had just re-signed my contract for this past year with like a substantial raise, and then it all went belly up, and I haven't heard from them since.
Oh, shit. Well, if any live music comes back, that'll be the one that comes back because it's outside.
That's true, but my intentions now do not lie with live audio, unfortunately. I don't think I'm going to continue with it.
Oh, so what's the plan?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually reapplied to school recently.
Oh, shit. Taver's in the house. That's what y'all do.
And you know what schooling that's for? You want to
What's
guess?
that?
You want to take a wild guess?
Chess?
Nope.
Mathematics.
Nope. Well, it's involved. I actually reapplied for school to become a watchmaker.
Get the fuck out of... Yo, horologist, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Fucking A, dude. Yo, Richie, have you ever heard that thing about that? There's like a 8-part thing called Shit Town. It's a podcast, and it's all about this guy who is like one of these like world-renowned horologists, and he lived in this like tiny little shit town down south.
No, but I'm in.
You have to. It's really good. It's really good.
He's one of these people that's like he possibly is like on the spectrum. Like he kind of like can't keep a thought really. He kind of goes all over the place when he talks. But there's a really kind of short anecdote by one of the guys who was like, yeah, I flew in with this clock that was from the 15th century. And I said, this part wasn't working. And sure enough, John just took out a piece of sheet metal and from memory recreated the piece that he needed, popped it in, and it worked.
Bullshit.
And he had been to world-renowned clockmakers around the world that could not reproduce it and could not make it. And this guy was like, didn't even look in a book, was like, oh yeah, I know that piece, and made it.
Yeah, he was like a savant. Yeah, I could definitely see you doing that, Richie, because you're like ultra focused. It must be like a family trait, like Tommy was saying.
Are you calling me a savant?
Yeah,
I think you're a savant.
I think that's messed up.
No, isn't a savant a good thing?
I don't know.
I thought that just means like you're particularly good at something. Am I
think
wrong?
that means you're like super off in every regard other than that one thing that you do.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, because the original term, I think they've dropped it now, but it used to be called idiot savant.
Yeah, I thought savant just meant like
I'm definitely
you're really
an idiot.
good at that one thing.
I'm definitely an idiot. So
Well,
That's me. Like,
I don't think Richie is bad at everything except one thing. Let me back up. I think Richie is super talented and intelligent, and I could see him doing this watch thing and being ultra focused and very good at it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I just had my last set of interviews, and let me tell you, it did not go well.
Why? What happened?
Well, it's a very long process. So the school that I had applied for is out in Lancaster County, and it's considered one of the best school in America, oddly enough, and it's in Amish country. So the whole interview process, the whole application process is something like 5 or 6 steps. Like first you have to write out like an entire 10-part of all these questions that they ask, like why are you into this? Why do you want to do this? What do you see yourself doing in 10 years with this? So on and so forth. After that, someone reached out to me, an administrator reached out to me for a video interview. It would be an in-person interview, but it was a video interview because of the pandemic. That went as well as it could have. I think her exact words were that she was willing to pass me on to the next set.
Oh man!
And the next set was an aptitude test. It was I was able to talk to someone in the industry about what to expect, and they were like, it's basically a military grade aptitude test. So like, go and study a military grade aptitude test online somewhere. And I was like, shit, all right, I'll do that. So I was trying to do that for a little bit. The aptitude test went as all right as it could have, considering that I haven't taken a math class or any sort of physics class or anything like that in 10 years at this point. So there was definitely a lot there that I missed the mark on, but there was one cool part, which was all like logical puzzles. So for example, there, like, if you were given all these sets of matches that when combined make 4 boxes, and then you have to move 3 matches to make 3 boxes, that sort of thing. Or if you're given like a triangle of all these pennies, you got to move a few pennies around so that the triangle is facing the other direction. So that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, it's not only that logical reasoning, they try to do that your spatial sense as well. Like, how can you think through a problem? Because it's not just the can you think through a problem? Because like the LSATs test that stuff where they're like, if you have 1 mauve dinosaur and 4 green and then they say, what's an acceptable order to put the dinosaurs in if it was based on this? And then they give you 8 choices to choose from. But like, yeah, that spatial stuff, I always think about, that's not something, I know you can learn it if you really tried, but that seems like something that's innate. Like you either have it or you don't. I'm sure you can hone it and refine it, but like, it seems like I see those puzzles a lot that come up in like, for some reason I was on a tear for a while with YouTube with Google interview questions. Cause I'm going to go interview at Google someday, but they had all these questions that they typically ask at interviews and for their, engineers and, like beyond the, like just basic computer programming stuff. And it was just logical processes. Like, almost remember that old problem, like there's two islands and you have one boat, there's like monkeys, bananas, and then something else. And how can you get them across without, you can't have the monkey on the boat with the bananas. You can't have the bananas on the boat with it's all these things. You have to think through all the different scenarios and find the only right one that works. I always find those are like fascinating, but I don't know how to do them. I just look at them and go, okay, I memorized that. So if somebody ever asks me before, again, I'll seem really smart because I know the answer.
Yeah, I think I definitely did good on that portion of the test. Everything else was trash. But so that wasn't even the last one. The last set of interviews was what would have been an in-person invitation to the campus, so you can get a tour and do kind of like a physical test where you bend wires into a certain shape or whatever. They had to do everything through video as well, so they told us to research a couple different pieces of machinery so that we could have, quote, an intelligent conversation about them. And I did my best. I only had a week's worth of time to do that when they told us what was going on. I gave myself one night because of work and other things. Oh man, I bombed it. That was rough. I could name parts of like the things that they were asking me to describe, but I wasn't able to like convince them why all those parts worked in tandem with one another and the physics behind all those parts. So at the end, at one point I was taking so long with answering because I was just looking at the thing and I was thinking like, how can I say what these people want to hear? And the guy called me out. He was like, "What are you doing right now? Are you on Google? Are you like are you looking this up? Are you reading something? Or are you like right here?" I was like, "No, man, I'm like right with you."
Wow. Oh man.
I always think about did you ever see this was a long time ago, but they did a thing about IIT, and it's the Indian Institute of Technology, and it's like the most selective university it's more selective, like 10 times more selective than Harvard and Yale. And because they have such a huge applicant base, and their engineering program is like the most sought after program in the world. And the thing is their first year, you don't touch a computer. You do obviously a lot of calculations and math and stuff like that, but you don't have a calculator. And the course that everybody's the most afraid of is fabrication. And they give you the schematics of this piece of, I don't know if it's steel or iron, but you have to shape it exactly to their specifications. You have a short period of time to do it, and essentially all you have is a file and calipers. And when I watched it, I was like, "Oh my god, I would be so dead in this. There's no way I'd make it through any of this."
Yeah, this school's acceptance rate, the Lidditz Watch Technicum, it's like a Rolex school, so the entire thing is free. The tuition's free. You just got to show up. But because of that, their acceptance rate is something like 16 people a year. But because of the pandemic, they have that. So they're still having it in-person classes, and now it's 8 people, I'm pretty sure I'm on the chopping block. I don't think I'm going to get in. Like the kids that were in my group that were getting interviewed, like they were kids. They were fresh out of high school. Like their ability to retain memory was just that. They probably like just learned half that shit. So we'll see. I don't.
Can you reapply?
You can, but I don't know where I'm going to be in a year from now. I'll be like, no, this is cool.
You'll be celebrating the 2nd year anniversary of the Northeast Scene podcast with us.
Yep.
Yeah. So before we conclude, Richie, anything you want to plug? Come on, you got some bands out there. You still doing any consulting or anything?
Should probably plug my computer in. I just put out a single. I'm working on a little EP, so I'll plug that. It's like more or less folk pop, if anyone's into that.
How do we find it?
It's on every streaming platform right now. On Spotify, Bandcamp, the iTunes one, whatever that one is, Apple Music.
And what do we search to find it?
Richie Taver. Just my first name.
Oh, just your name. Okay.
Yeah. And find Richie's Instagram page through our followers. His username is Thick Cheney. which is the hilarious username, by the
With
way.
two
I think,
C's.
Yeah, I think my favorite. But there's a lot of underscores and stuff in there. But just search that, and you'll find him, and you'll find the music. And are you still doing any like podcast engineering for people, or taking on new clients, or anything like that?
All the time, yeah. I'm still working on a couple now.
If you're interested in some audio help, track Richie down. We're going to tag him when this episode goes up again, and maybe he can help you out. You guys can work something out. So, Richie, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show. I'm glad we get to work together every week, and we're going to keep doing this thing.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on. This is a pleasure. I'm excited that this happened finally.
Absolutely. Tommy?
I'm still fascinated by the watch thing. I'm so stuck on that, and it's all I keep going back to because it's like hit the napalm death thing now. I always think about like because it's
that's my favorite.
That's just fascinating, like micromechanics, like the chronograph, the idea that like no, the idea that you can manufacture something so unbelievably intricate and so like detailed and then make it function is awesome. I'm just gonna power through it. I don't give a shit.
That's never not going to be funny.
Thanks, Richie. All right, folks, we're here now with Michael Shaw. Michael, welcome back to the show.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Thanks again for having me here. And happy anniversary. Happy 1 year anniversary to the Northeast scene.
Yeah, it's excellent to be doing this show for a year now, and it's excellent to have you back on the show. Mike has the honor of being one of our 2 in-person interviews, and now we are here again 1 year later.
Wow.
How does it feel, Mike?
You only did 2 ever? 2 live interviews ever?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and you were one of them.
The same day.
Wow. Yeah. And just wanted, before we get into it, just wanted to say how proud I am and really admire what you guys have built with the Northeast scene. This is really something special, especially over the quarantine. We all have had dark times, and there were a few darker days. I was really in the trenches, and I would turn on one of your episodes and then just take a walk, go for maybe like a 40-minute hour walk, and would really rejuvenate my spirit and just like kept me like motivated, inspired, made me feel connected. So thanks for building this like vehicle that you guys have here.
Absolutely, man. And thank you. That's exactly what I envisioned for this show, because in my darkest days, when I didn't have any friends or anybody to talk to, people on podcasts and radio shows were my friends. And that's what I listened to bring me comfort. And I still do sometimes.
Yeah, and just you two as hosts, like just such good chemistry you've developed. It's only been a year, and your characters, like us as audience members, like really are interested in hearing like what's going on in your life, and then the segue into the guests. It's just really cool, man.
I'm happy to hear that, because my biggest fear is that nobody gives a shit about anything I'm saying.
No, we're hooked. Seriously, we are hooked. Me and Golden talk about it all the time.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Well, Mike, you had an integral part in this show too, because the podcast I was inspired by, they just kind of recorded it and threw it right up on the internet. And I was going to do the same thing because I'm lazy. And, I was like, well, they're doing it. So, but
Yeah.
You're like, no, man, you got to edit it. And I was like, what? And you're like, yeah, you got to like go through and edit the whole thing. And I was like, oh, man. And you know what? It's the most annoying part of this whole thing, but it's like such a crucial part.
Yeah. Editing is kind of fun though, I mean, for my podcast, it's only 15-20 minutes. So like, I'm sure it's a lot more tedious when it's a 2-hour episode or so.
Oh God. Yeah. Like it takes forever, but you know what? It's part of the deal. You got to do it to put out quality products, such as the Northeast scene.
And some of the guests that you've been getting, it's just so cool, man. And like Jim Ward episode, he was talking about coronavirus and how it was outbreaking then. And like 2 days later, I was watching on the news all about El Paso, Texas, and how coronavirus was just unmanageable there. And I had this like glimpse through Jim's episode of like what was going on, and to see it on the news was really wild. And then like Kenny's episode, I had never really gotten into the starting line, and right after his episode, I just dove into their discography and was like, man, this band's awesome. Like, it's so crazy. And then Anthony's episode, like right after that, I just started singing again. And that was, earlier this year in January. And you guys, like, I like attribute this show and what you guys are doing to like me finding my voice again. So thanks so much for the inspiration. Really do appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm getting like emotional hearing that, because I looked up to you and This Day Forward as like older brothers and, musical inspiration. And to hear that we're doing that in some sense now with you listening to what we're doing and then singing again is like, wow,
Yeah.
my mind is blown.
Because seriously, I had like given up singing. I was barely talking to anybody. Like, it was kind of like WandaVision or Pleasantville, where everything is black and white. And then literally I listened to his episode, and then right after that, I was like, I want to sing something. So I put on the Strokes, that song Someday, like the in many ways we'll miss the good old days, and sung that whole song. And then it just like snowballed from there. And suddenly everything was starting to like get color again. It's just so, so wild. So just wanted to share that with you guys,
That's awesome. Anthony said it in his episode. He's like, we can get someone to lay down some beats. Mike can sing over that shit. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, I just recorded last week. I recorded 5 new songs. I sent you one of them, like the little part of the Taken song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because Keith, you were at the show, the Taken reunion show, and
Yeah.
I had just come up with the part like the day before, and I sung it for you at the show. I was like, do you think I should maybe do this like during their set? And you're like, yeah, go for it, do it.
See, I thought you worked that out with them ahead of time.
No, like I showed you first, like at the Barbary, and once you said like, yo, that's a good part. Like once I got you're okay, then I showed Ray and I sung it for him outside, and he's like, yo, yeah, if you want to come up, like grab the mic during that part, by all means. But they didn't have like a mic stand, so I would have had to like jump on stage and wrestled the microphone away from Ray, and it was just kind of an awkward dynamic.
Yeah, that was the thing you did over that song was really good. I thought it was really awesome. Can we post that?
Yeah, definitely. That'd be so sick.
All right, we're going to post that.
Yeah, and then I recorded some vocals over one of Colin's Psychic Babble songs, and then
nice.
I did 3 original songs, and I didn't send you those. I'm not sure if you'll be into them, but yeah, maybe I'll share them like this week or so.
Yeah, man, send them through. I want to hear anything you're doing. Have you ever thought about getting involved with another band again?
Oh, I haven't thought about it. I would love to finish that last band I was in, Colors. I would just love to finish that record. That would be that'd be ideal for sure. But I mean, you guys posted that episode. I started singing again, and now I just recorded like 5 new things. So who knows where this will go?
Yeah. This podcast opens doors. Record executives are going to be knocking down your door, trying to sign you to lucrative deals after we get the word out.
That's great. Yo, that Taken reunion show, listeners, if you've never heard the band Taken, their EP from a couple years ago is amazing. Highly recommend. It's very good melodic, hardcore, screamo-core. And you and I were at that show 1 month after we saw 108 reunion. That was November of 2019, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Taken, for some reason I saw them back in the day, but I never listened to them on disc or anything like that. But I went and checked them out after that reunion show we went to back in 2019. They're so good.
Seriously, so good.
Like they are so good.
And for that show, I I studied because for the 108 show, like, remember how when Shai Hulud was coming around, or One King Down, or a hardcore band, you would like listen to the CD over and over so you would know all the words. So you
To
just
sing along,
you
yeah.
would have to study. It was an important part of like the hardcore culture.
Yes.
And the 108 show, I was like, I'll listen to Threefold Misery on the bus ride up. And bus ride up, I wound up falling asleep. And then, of course, the singer Rob Fish, after the last song, he's just like, he's done. He's like winded, he's out of breath. And they're waiting for like 10 minutes to play Killer of the Soul. And if I had studied, I was like inching up forward. And the only reason I hadn't like jumped on stage to like scream that song was because I just didn't run through it on the bus ride up. I was like kicking myself for that because I really should have sung that song with them.
Yeah, that's literally what I dream about when I walk into a hardcore show. Like,
Yeah.
singer is gone. We need you to step up and to take the spotlight. And I didn't study either. I would have blown the intro, because there's like, they do the intro, but then they do another full round of it, and then the vocals come in. That would have got me.
Same here. Yep.
Yeah. We're going to get it next time.
It was just 10 minutes and 8 seconds when we were just talking about 108, by the way.
No.
So cool.
Holy shit. Signs. Yo, I have an idea. 108 plays a show again, right?
Yeah.
And then like we leave a trail of breadcrumbs from the stage like out back, and Rob Fish follows it, and we have two guys grab him so that the last two songs are open again. What do you think?
Yeah, and we have to study.
Oh, we're going to study.
I think this sounds like kidnapping.
Yeah, we're not going to kidnap Rob Fish. We will wait for our next opportunity to take the stage at a hardcore show. Speaking of, Michael, you were vocalist for acclaimed hardcore / post-hardcore band This Day Forward. Any news on the reunion front? Now, I know that there's not a music industry anymore, but let's say there was. Like, are we any closer? Has there been any conversations?
Something that has happened. Last time I was on the Northeast scene, we were trying to manifest a Equal Vision Records Fest, EVR Fest, where you would have Saves the Day and Circa headline one night. You would have Alexis on Fire, Refused, This Day Forward another night. You would have Conversion, Coheed the final night. It was like a couple months after my episode, I wound up hearing from one of our close friends at Equal Vision. He'd reached out to me like, "Hey, Mike Shaw, just wondering how you're doing, checking in on you." And I had listened to your episode on the Northeast scene, and you were talking about Equal Vision Fest, and I got to tell you, once all this coronavirus and the quarantine settles down, I absolutely love the idea and would love to make that happen. So,
oh shit,
it's begun. The seed has germinated into into some roots.
Look at that. Do you think we can get points on that fest?
Oh yeah, of course. I was just thinking, you guys have such a solid year. Like, what probably far exceeded any sort of expectations you've had for the show. And now this next year coming up, I just can't wait to see what happens, whether it's like a Northeast scene fest or just a show or like a hangout. And yeah, I don't know. It just got me, my brain thinking about you guys, and hopefully This Day Forward is going to be tangled up in whatever happens with the Northeast scene.
I hope so. We definitely want to do a show, and I would love for This Day Forward to be a part of that. So what if I have an idea, Mike. What if you got too tired to sing End of August, and I came up and did it for you?
Done. You're in.
All right. See, I'm the deal maker. That's what I do on this show.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be special because I've been to some reunions where it was kind of a miss. Like I saw Refused open for Deftones, and it was this big outdoor amphitheater, and I was stoked for both bands, but more like Refused. They were so nostalgic, and it just was pretty lackluster. Whereas 108 was awesome, and then there was one One King Down at This Is Hardcore, like the first song was amazing, and I was just like, this is so cool. And the second song was like, oh, this is pretty cool. By like the third song, I was kind of over it. I feel bad saying that, and I didn't study for that. I only like the song they open with, like I have that ingrained. The I'm so fed up with the
Yeah.
lies.
More Hate Than Fear, I still listen to till this day. Like the lyrics are they sound so important.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like so urgent and so like
Yeah.
you feel you have to call up the arms of Straight Edge or something.
What other reunion shows have you guys been to? Did you make it to the Sunny Day Real Estate?
Yeah, that was in 2008, right?
They were like the first ones to reunite. They were the first ones to start the whole emo thing, then the first ones to reunite, and everybody else followed.
No, man, Texas Is the Reason was 2006.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? At the Sunny Day Real Estate reunion, I showed up really drunk, and then I left. I don't remember any of the show. And then I went to a bar, and the last thing I remember at the bar is they opened a 12-pack of Miller High Lifes and popped the top off of every one of them and like pushed it across the bar. And then I woke up in an alley behind the bar, and someone had punched me out.
Dang. Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember any of the Sunny Day gigs, sadly.
Dang, that sucks. How was Texas Is the Reason? How was that show?
I don't remember any of the Texas Is the Reason show either.
Man,
But I did get to see them many times in 2012 and 13, and they were great.
nice.
Yeah. I basically don't remember anything that happened before 2017, you know?
Yeah. Quicksand at Revelation Records, the 25-year fest out in California. Quicksand was so insane, dude. They were so good. I had like chills. Awesome band.
Yeah, I don't remember their first reunion either, but I did see them again in 2017, and that was awesome.
Where's Tommy at? What about you? Some of the reunions you've seen?
None.
None.
I don't know. I don't think I mean, I go every time All Else Fails reunites, and
Yeah, dude.
anytime All Else Failed comes out and they decide they're gonna play again, I show up and go ape shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
But no, I don't go to anything. I mean, I
Are
go
there
to
any
this.
that you regret that you missed or anything?
All of the ones you just named, especially Quicksand and Texas Is the Reason.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because Quicksand was like the first band for me that really got me into like heavier music.
Whoa, they were your gateway?
That was my kind of like, my older sister she went to Kutztown and she was friends with a bunch of kids that were in a straight edge band called Atari. And
Yeah, I remember them.
I went to go see them and I was in, I guess, 6th or 7th grade. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go, mommy, my mom gave me money to go buy stuff. And I went and bought a Quicksand, remember the EP with John Kennedy's head on it, the self-titled one?
Yeah.
With the apple. That one. I bought that, and my sister, I don't think she gave it to me. Like, I borrowed it from her for a while, though, but she gave me Slip when I was in 7th or 8th grade.
And you were done for.
Yeah.
That's John Kennedy's head on that record cover?
Isn't that what it is? I'm almost
I don't know. If it is, I never knew that.
What were you listening to before that?
Whatever my sister was into. So my sister was really big into like, it's heavier music, but like not like super duper crazy heavy. So like the one thing she kind of threw me into, and I was like, I kind of went with it on my own, was she was into a band called Ministry. The kind of like industrial heavy kind of like metal mixed with industrial stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I listened to that for a while. And that's kind of my trajectory of getting into heavier and heavier music. And then I had a friend at school, this kid, Chris, gave me Pantera, the Cowboys from Hell. And I remember being like, I like this. I really like this. Yeah.
6th grade?
That was, probably 6th or 7th grade I got that.
That's wild. I have like a nephew in that age. I can't picture him listening to Pantera.
Well, everybody was into Nirvana. It was like it was.
If you listen to Pantera, doesn't that kind of guarantee your life is going to end up being fucked up?
I will say this, like diehard Pantera fans, usually things aren't, you're never like, let's just put it this way. I've never walked into a job interview and the guy's like, hey, what are your thoughts on, 101 Live? I'm like, ugh, what? Those people that are into Pantera, it tends to trend towards like, everyday drudgery of having a shitty job and eating a lot of pills.
Good times.
Yeah.
I used to do that.
Both of those things. I think we all did those things for a little while.
So, Mike, tell us how you're faring in COVID times. What are you doing? How do you pass the time? How are you supporting yourself financially?
Oh, lately, the singing thing, man, every day, it's so sick. It's crazy. Like all these well-being things like exercising, dieting, yoga, meditating. I feel like singing for at least 20 minutes a day is just so much better for me, my personal like well-being and like mind state than any of those other things. The reason I stopped singing is just like I felt like my voice wasn't going to be used, or like I started getting self-conscious about even my speaking voice like on the podcast. And then I forgot that just the actual act of singing just makes me feel like kind of a kid again. And it's so important to have a sense of play, like interwoven in your daily routine or daily life, especially like I guess my I've been kind of surviving through poker, for a year now, and it can be quite
Mhm.
quite a grind, like very taxing mentally, like long hours of concentrating. So starting to sing now is just adding such a nice balance to like the levity of playing such a cutthroat game for a living.
Yeah. I played poker once, and like someone got really mad at me because I didn't know how to play, and then another time I didn't know what I was doing, and I went to pick up the cards to look at something, and someone like grabbed my hand and like squeezed it, so I dropped the cards, and then there was
Oh,
almost
geez.
like a whole incident. So I guess poker's not the game for me, but I'm glad
Yeah,
you can support yourself with it. And that's what, yeah, poker and gambling and all that stuff is like, it is a grind. It sounds like a grind. So it's good to have that balance of the singing and it's like the yin and the yang.
yeah, it is a beautiful game. I do love the game very much, and it parallels the hardcore scene, like, or just the DIY scene so much. Like the first time I was out at the World Series of Poker in 2013, it felt like being at like Hellfest or This Is Hardcore. There's just like a sense of community and camaraderie, and all these people traveling from like Australia, China, Italy, all sitting at my table, and we're all just like staring at clay chips and a deck of cards, and like the magic that unfolds through this like strange game. It's very, very fascinating.
So when had these surprise travel things you do where you'll just pick up and just go to the World Series of Poker or randomly show up to a Circa Survive show in Colorado and that type of
Yeah,
thing. How do you decide to do it? Is it just on a whim? Like you're sitting there and then you're like, I'm going to go to Vegas.
on a couple years ago, I I had Valentine's Day off and the day after, and
Yeah.
I've been single for many years. I was like, I've never celebrated Valentine's Day. And then I saw like Circa was playing in Denver on 214, and I was like, just wonder like how much like a round trip flight to Denver is. And on through Expedia after taxes and everything, it was like 129 round
Wow.
trip. And I was like, I'm not even gonna like overthink this. Like I'm just gonna go out there for 2 days, go see Circa, and then there was a basketball game like the night after. And it's funny, I didn't even tell the Circa dudes that I was going. So the day of, like, I landed and I was in an Uber on the way to the venue, and I passed this sandwich place called Chiba Hut. It was like a Subway, but the
Yeah.
sandwiches were all like marijuana themed, like Little Nug, like really corny spot. so I took a picture of that and I sent it to Colin and Brendan. I was like, "Yo, dudes, want to grab lunch today?" And they were like, "You're here? Like, what the heck?" They were like, "We saw that place. We were planning to go there for lunch." That's so funny.
I love this spontaneity because I'm so controlled and everything has to be scheduled to the absolute minute. I would never do anything like that in a million years.
Yeah, and the weirdest thing is, Circa does. First off, if listeners, if you've never heard of Patreon, you should definitely sign up for Patreon and support a lot of your favorite bands like Circa Survive on there. They have a lot of great content. Just a great way to stay in touch with some of your favorite artists. So little plug there. But Circa, they would do a Q&A and like a few in like acoustic songs before every show. And the Q&A was 45 minutes. And the very last question in Denver was some guy asked, he was like, "Hey, this is for Colin and Brendan. How much different is it touring in Circus Survive than it was touring in This Day Forward?" And Colin was like, "Well, it's funny you asked because our singer from This Day Forward is actually here tonight, randomly from PA." And he like pointed to me, and I did a little bow.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, with our last few minutes here, Mike, what can we plug? Where can we find you? So, you got Kinder Things podcast, right? That's still going strong.
Yeah, and we recorded a few episodes with video, and they're shot at different parks throughout Philadelphia. Those are going to start airing probably next week, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, so check out Kinder Things podcast, or you can follow me at Orion Guide if you feel inclined.
Yeah, so that's at Kinder Things podcast or at Orion Guide. Find Mike and harass him. Tell him to get this Day Forward reunion going because we're all waiting.
Yeah, we also had another special anniversary a few days ago. It was Gary Shaw's birthday 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Gary. That is Gary Shaw, beloved brother of Michael Shaw and bass player for This Day Forward.
Yeah. I loved your segment, the check-in on Gary. You should do that more often.
What show?
I want to make that a regular segment where we just call Gary and just like talk to him for a quick few minutes about something, and then he disappears into the sunset.
I was going to suggest we call him today because he got a new dishwasher and a Peloton, and it must be mayhem out over there.
Well, I would love to talk to him about those things, but we're out of time. Well, listen, Mike, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show again. You're one of my best friends, and you have been for a long time, and, I just really appreciate you and your friendship.
Thanks so much, man. Really love you guys. Love you. Love what you guys are doing. And continue building this community. It is really beautiful space you have here. And honored, beyond honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for coming on. I always love seeing you at things. And it's just like old times. Like as soon as I see you, it's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like it's an immediate like, "Oh yeah, like Mike's here. I'm okay." Because I know I've showed up to things before and been like, "I don't really know anybody here."
Yeah, the way we all laugh and joke when we get together, it's like we're 16 again. I don't have that with anybody else except you guys, and I think that's an awesome thing. All right, folks, so we're here now, once again, with our friend, Josh Brigham of Hopesfall. Josh, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be back, dudes. I like talking with you guys. It's always fun.
I'm glad, because if you hated talking to us, but you still kept doing it, it would be really weird.
Yeah, fair enough.
We wanted to have you back. It's our year anniversary show. Can you believe it?
I didn't realize it. It's been a whole year.
Yeah, and we're doing like a family-oriented thing. We had our engineer on. We had Mike Shaw of This Day Forward on. He was our very first guest. And now we're having you, one, because we like you, and two, you were the first guest we had, like, outside of our immediate friend circle. Like, I talked to Vadim. I was like, "Yeah, I would love to have Josh on." And he's like, "Boom, here's his number." And I was like, "Yo." And you know what? The weekend that we spoke to you was just like a really tough weekend. I'll tell you why after the show, because it ties into what's going on right now.
Uh-huh.
And, we ended up talking to you, and you were just super nice. And then we didn't get through all the conversation on Saturday, so that you, got back with us Sunday so we could finish it. And it just ended up being such a great experience, which is awesome, because if, the conversation would have ended up being awkward, or if you were like, oh, fuck these guys, it would have just been an extra nail through the heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I do know what you're saying, because it's when you meet people and you have an expectation, and then it just is like, oh, that didn't go right at all. It's like a bummer.
Yeah. Did you ever meet, in all your years of touring and playing music and stuff, did you ever meet somebody and you had high expectations, and then it was like, oh man?
I did. Yeah.
Are you willing to tell us who?
Yes, I am, and it's not. So this is a funny story. We played a show in Boston with Killswitch Engage, and it was at the Palladium. And I had Unearth played, and us, and Killswitch, and Kerry King from Slayer was there. And he was backstage and whatnot. And in full disclosure, it's I wasn't the biggest Slayer fan. I knew Rain and Blood, but it's not I wasn't the guy carving it in his arm. But my buddy Pat, who used to play bass in Hopesfall on No Wings, was a huge Slayer fan. And and I was young. I was 22 years old. And I got Pat on the phone, and I was like, dude, I'm hanging out and Kerry King's here. And I was like, hey, would you say hi to my buddy on the phone? He was like, yeah. He goes, hey, and hangs the phone up on him. And just Jesus, and I was just like, this guy has bought everything. Everything that Slayer's ever released. And then, of course, my friend Pat was like, dude, Kerry King hung up on me. It was awesome. He was so stoked. But I was just like, God, what a fucking dick, man.
Yeah,
that's a dick move.
Whatever. I'm sure that guy was on a level of famous that he was probably so just super annoyed, wanted to have a beer and hang out,
Exactly. I think people get desensitized and just, they don't want to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I can usually kind of sense that, but I love when people have some clout, but they also end up just being super nice people too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's always exciting and uplifting.
So Josh, I'm very thrilled to see that Hopesfall is practicing again. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, we've been practicing. About 3 out of 5 of us live here in Charlotte, and it's just fun to jam. And we have this big giant space that Adam's boss is kind enough to let us practice in. And so the 3 of us can go in there and jam, and it's been fun. It's been fun to just play music for no other purpose than just playing music,
Yeah, seeing those clips of you guys playing those songs on Instagram, it's almost like a peek into a forgotten world. And it gives me so much hope that maybe someday things will return to what they once were.
I think that they will. And I think that they will sooner than we think, or at least I'm really hopeful that this year things will happen. I would like to go see shows. I actually have had my first vaccination shot.
Oh, really?
I had the first half of the shot already.
How did you get it? Do you know a guy? Do you have pre-existing conditions?
No, I work at a retirement center now, part-time, teaching foundation training. And because I'm in and out with all those people who've had shots. That they got all the workers there that service that facility shots.
Whenever people say they got the shot, I like to ask them, if they know a guy, and if I can go to an undisclosed location to get injected with something, because it reminds me of my previous lifestyle.
I could see how you would like that.
Yeah, but continue.
No, but that was it. The athletic director there is this wonderful lady named Gay. And she was just like, I'm fighting hard to make sure all my trainers that are coming in to train these people that are in the retirement home can get a shot. And she pulled it off.
So when are you going to get the second shot?
This Friday.
Oh, so after
Yeah.
the 10-day mandatory quarantine period, or however long it is, are you going to brazenly walk the streets of North Carolina without a mask and, like, all that kind of stuff?
No, I'll wear a mask where you have to wear a mask. And I've been like, it's funny, but here, and obviously I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's, I mean, everybody wears masks everywhere, but like life is kind of resuming to normal, except that people have masks on.
Yeah, I want to continue with the mask once this thing is over. It keeps me kind of anonymous. I'm self-conscious about how I look. I feel like I can hide if I'm wearing the mask and sunglasses. Maybe I avoid some bad breath from some folks. Maybe I miss getting sick that year from a cold or whatever else. I like it. I like the mask.
You probably will, like during flu season and stuff. I mean, shit clearly reduces the spread of germs.
Yeah.
I think it's going to become much more of a thing where people are just, it's much more common for people to wear masks. Like it will just be interwoven into regular life and you won't question it as much.
I think so. I saw someone on Twitter post like, "Oh, are you against wearing masks? Think about it. Have you been sick this year?" And I was like, "Yo, they're right."
Whoa. Dude,
like I didn't get a
been.
cold or anything.
Me neither.
Yeah. I mean,
Me
I guess
neither.
being inside all the time contributes to that, but still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not been around nearly as many people.
Tell us, how is your life going? How is life in general for you?
I'm happy and excited about the future, man. Like I had a wild year since we spoke the first time.
Yes.
And then the second time after the Hum record came out.
Right.
But yeah, so no, I got laid off from my my main job because
Was that at the brewery?
I was a sales rep in like uptown Charlotte. So I was, I sold to the convention center, to the football stadium, to the minor league baseball stadium, all the hotels, all the restaurants that had all the business travel because of all the banks, right? The Fillmore, the amphitheater, like the Blumenthal Performing Arts Centers, which is where like the Broadway shows would come through. It's like, dude, those places are gone. Like 75% of the business that I had died on March 17th of last year. Like just hard stop, just done. And our boss, and I think we talked about this, but my boss made us a really fair deal, and he was paying us based on our previous year in sales because no one knew what the hell was going on. But like 5 months into that, they were like, "Hey, man, like we can't afford to pay you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I see these sales reports. I get it."
Yeah.
Like this is not working. Oddly enough, like I had read a book early last year, like early 2020. It must have been like January or February 2020. It was called The Surrender Experiment. And it was now I'm going to forget his name because now I'm bringing it up. But anyway, this guy who is famous, who started like WebMD and is like a big time like yogi, had this like policy of just saying yes to whatever doors opened for him, and he was just like, I'm going to quit trying to control shit. I'm just going to say yes to whatever happened. And like, as we were talking like that first time, I'm really fired up about the whole foundation training thing and like really feel like I can help people. I was like, how do I make this my life? Like, and when my boss, who is a friend of mine, who I'm texted with today about getting a beer at some point, was like practically in tears when he had to like lay me off. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, oddly enough, this isn't how I wanted this to happen, but I'm pretty sure this is what I wanted to happen. Like, cause I would have never quit because I'd had so much invested and worked there for over 10 years. And it was like, I got a free pass.
Wow.
To go do the thing that I wanted to try to do. And so that's what I'm doing. And it's like, granted, it's in the time of COVID, so you can't really do a ton, but like the gyms that are allowing people to work out, like where people have masks and it's like they have reduced class sizes for social distancing and whatnot. Like I've been able to find like enough work to like start trying to make it my full-time job. And then I just drive Uber and stuff in the meantime. And my father-in-law is a contractor. And when he needs help on jobs, I'll go and work with him. So it's like I can piece together a living, but I'm having fun.
That's great. Yeah. And now you get to do what you love, your passion, the foundation training.
Yeah.
So I think it's, I know it's a cliche, but I really like one door closes, another opens. And in the particular brand of recovery I've been involved with for multiple years now, acceptance is a big part of that. And I try to practice that. And, you know, if you just stop fighting, and I don't mean be a doormat or just like accept whatever happens to you, but I don't know. I've been in situations where I'm pushing because I'm like, these are the people I have to talk to, or this is the situation I'm supposed to be in. But if it's not working, it's not working. And if you can just let go and move on to the next thing, then it makes things so much easier. Like you could have easily hated your boss and been like, I'm never talking to this guy again. But you saw the reality of the situation and you're like, I understand.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing. It was just like, this is clearly not working. Like these numbers don't make sense. They cannot keep paying me for me to sell nothing, you know? And, and I helped build that company and it was really fun. And I'm really grateful for the experience I had there. And I wish them nothing but the best. Like I want that brand to succeed. Like I want my boss, like he's my friend. He's my friend. He still is my friend. You know, we worked together for 10 years. We had a blast.
Yeah. Do they give you any beer on the way out, like to help ease the pain of getting laid
exactly.
off?
Yeah. Like some of the people that still work there will be like, yo, man, we got some extra cans. Like here we go. Like these are the misfill. Like we would always like take home the misfills, like shit that just like didn't meet the pressure gradient for like the can. You know, like you could squeeze it a little too much, but there's nothing wrong with the product inside. So like, and my friends they'll drop off beer for me and whatnot. That's fun.
You ever like get really loose with what's acceptable and what's not? Like, oh, this one has a tiny scratch on it. We're gonna take this one off the line, or oh, that can looks a little strange. We're gonna take this one.
I you know, I don't know what the policies are now, but I certainly never did anything like that. No.
I understand.
Maybe.
You know, people keep saying, people basically pick whatever the next season is and say, like, that's when music is going to come back. Is there anything realistic on the horizon? You know, like what Hopesfall was on Furnace Fest, right? Has that been rescheduled?
There's been a lot of talk about when that is going to resurface and schedule again.
I see.
Yes. And it's about the most I'm at liberty to say about that.
So there, what else is in the works? Are we talking about any shows, any releases, anything?
All of it.
Oh,
like we missed 2020 was going to be such a fun year. We had so much stuff that we had planned to do that year. And then, you know, it just all we were going to go to Japan in March of 2020 with Taken. And that got canceled, and like we had all kinds of other stuff going on, and that was like in the works, and it all got thrown away. So I'm hoping that all of those exact same things are still an opportunity in like late 2021, hopefully, but 2022 at the latest.
It's got to come back. I'm ready to see some shows, and I get genuinely excited when I see Hopesfall doing things. Like, I'm like, oh man, I hope I get to see them again one day.
Yeah, I really, really want to go. It's like I had weird feelings about doing it again in 2018.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. Like, we're too old to do this and like this and that and the other. But like, we had such a good time. And then not having the option of live music for a solid year now. Just been like, of course we have to go and do this. Like, goodness gracious. Like, that shit is fucking fun. Like, everything I took for granted about that, or like if I was ever jaded about the scene, quote unquote, or shows, or all that's out the door. I'm just like, oh, dude, I'm thirsty for it. Like, I'll go see whatever band just to do it at this point.
Yeah.
Just for something to do. I'd be so excited to see people. And
I was thinking about it. I don't know. I used to go to a lot of shows alone. Like if a band was playing and I really wanted to see them, I would go by myself because I don't know anybody here who like listens to the same stuff I do. But I don't think I'd do that anymore. I don't know if I have it in me anymore. I think I crossed the threshold of not going to shows alone anymore.
You wouldn't?
I would not.
Huh. I would go see a band by myself that I really want to see if like no one else wanted to go. I think I still
It would have to be like Hum or something. Or like if it was like Hopesfall, I would go because I could like talk to you for a few minutes at least. But you know what? I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see once shit comes back.
Like you're not going to go to a show in New York where you don't know someone. Like people.
No.
If the bands that you are going to go see, you're going to know other people there. Or you're going to see somebody with a T-shirt on and be like, oh, that guy likes Glass Shot. I'm going to talk to him like at the bar.
Oh, no, I don't do that.
Like,
I don't do that either. Yeah, that's
a big move. I'm very introverted, yeah.
Oh man, I very much like when I see somebody with a band T-shirt on that I like and they're not, especially if it's like if I saw somebody with a Hum T-shirt or like a Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness T-shirt, you know what I mean? I would just be like, dude, love it, But I was a sales guy. I would start that conversation.
Yes. See, I couldn't do that. I'm like too scared of people.
And yet here you are interviewing people. That doesn't make any sense.
You know what it is? It's like put me on a stage and I'm cool, or like put me in front of a microphone and I can get shit done, but it's like it has to be in the context of like a creative pursuit. And then I'm comfortable. But just regular talking to people, like I wouldn't call you. I would feel weird calling you and just being like, "Hey, Josh, how's it going?"
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
I don't know, man. You tell me. Let's talk about your childhood.
Well, going back to no, we don't have nearly enough time for that. Let's talk about your childhood. Did you have a happy childhood?
I mean, sure. I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I rode bikes. I played in the woods. My parents are still married. Like, actually, like, I say that, like, all flippantly. No, looking back on it, like, I lived an idyllic childhood. Like,
yes.
I played outside. I rode my bike. I played wiffle ball and soccer and football. And, yeah, I didn't like, my parents were middle class, and I didn't want for anything, like, of course I wanted Jordans and they didn't get them for me, or something like that, but it's like, I wasn't hungry.
Yeah. I wanted a lot of things, but I didn't get them because we didn't have any money.
Yeah. I think it's like my dad was a government official. We didn't live in ostentatious life, but it's like I went to public school and shit was fine. I wasn't worried about where my next meal was coming from.
Every time I opened the cabinets, there were food in it. Like there was food in the refrigerator. Yeah, I didn't have the nicest sneakers or the best clothes, but like whenever I needed something, especially if it was like school or like something my mom knew I had a real passion for, like skateboarding. Like if I was like, Mom, I broke my skateboard, I need a new one. She'd be like, okay, talk to me on the weekend. We can probably go out. Like we can probably go get you one. Like, yeah, but nothing was ideal. Like, but at the same time, like whose childhood is like, I think it's, I don't ever, I try not to get in those conversations, especially with anybody where they're like, oh, I had it so rough, because then it becomes this weird game of like one-upsmanship.
Yeah.
Of like
on the reverse end.
Yeah, of
of
like
it.
I had it worse than you. Like I remember being at work one day. I was telling a story about something where my mom was mad at me and hit me or something, like just like, or smacked me and was like, "Shut up." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was telling this story, and somebody was like, "That's nothing. I got this." And then they went like, it was like literally like this, that scene in Jaws where they all sit around and go like compare their fucking scars. Like it was like, "Well, I got beat with this." And I'm like, "Really? That sounds horrible." Can we change the subject? Like this is fucking, it's too early for this. Jesus. Like,
Well, boys, I fulfilled a childhood dream on Sunday. You want to know what it is?
Go on.
I beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for NES.
Heck
wow.
yeah, dude.
That is so hard to do.
I never beat Mike Tyson.
Yeah, no one has. Well, I guess except all the hundreds of speedrunners on YouTube.
Yeah. I actually remember you.
I never had a Nintendo, Keith.
You never had one, Josh?
No, I'm kidding.
We never had it until we had to draw pictures on the screen and move them. Like,
Yeah. I had a Nintendo. I was just terrible at it. Like, I never beat any games, and it wasn't because they were that hard. I just wasn't good.
I got to what was the guy's name before him that was really similar? Oh, Super Macho Man.
Yeah.
I got to him once, and I think I lasted one round. But I remember
he's pretty easy. Mr. Sandman is really hard. Super Macho Man's pretty easy, and Mike Tyson is incredibly tough.
I just remember it took me forever to get the timing on. Bald Bull does the backup and the charge.
Yeah.
That timing took me forever. Thank God that game has codes and you can just restart where you stopped, where you finished off.
Yeah, I trained on the emulator. I probably started 30 rounds with Mike Tyson, and of those 30, I only won once.
But you won once.
Yeah, and that's good enough.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
Exactly. Josh, what can we expect from you, from Hopesfall? I don't know if you're allowed to announce anything yet, but tell us what to look out for.
I don't know if I'm allowed to announce anything either, because we don't have a manager or anything. It's just like we are actively pursuing opportunities.
That is exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm hopeful.
Here's a question for you. How did you feel after that run of gigs in 2018?
Dude, right afterwards, I was like, yeah, that was a bad idea. Well, and here's why. Well, the first two shows in New York, until I saw the videos of how much fun people were having, it just sounded so bad on my side of the stage. I was just like, man, this is bad.
Oh.
It sounds bad and I can't enjoy this. And so I'm just up there just trying to be like, let me just play these riffs and headbang and look like I'm having a good time, even though it doesn't sound good. And you just want to sound good, right?
Yeah.
Y'all know, when the stage sound is good, it doesn't matter if anybody else in the crowd enjoyed it. You're like, oh, that fucking sounded awesome. That was great.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted that own selfish experience for myself. It's just okay, we're playing in a room and there's people here and it fucking sounds good. And I didn't have that experience.
So when you went back and looked at the video, did you still think it sounded bad? Or did you see it from the outside and you were like, oh, okay, it's fine?
Then I saw other people enjoying it. Yeah. Which I don't see in the moment. It's all, I'm in my own little world, and that being said, I realize, other people, this music is it's such a weird thing, right? Everybody has their own memories and experiences wrapped up into it. And they're tapping into something, especially because we're a nostalgia band at this point. Even though we have even though we have a record that's new that I would like to think is relevant and good. It's just
I think that's my favorite one, honestly.
I remember you saying that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that record, but I mean, realistically, it's our fan base is people that found out about our band a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Largely. I don't think we're going to be out there. I don't think there's going to be a lot of like 15 and 16-year-old kids that are just like, dude, Hopesfall. Like,
yeah. Sometimes I think I'm really with it. You know what I mean? And then I'm around an actual teenager and I'm like, oh, I'm not at all. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple things that like trickle through, you know, or like things that I'll like stumble across on Spotify and just be like, yes, fuck yes, the kids are awesome. Go kids. You know, but they're not listening to me. They don't care. They don't care. You know?
Yeah.
So
what was the problem? Was it just the stage monitors, or was it the overall setup at St. Vitus? What was the deal?
No. I don't think it. I mean, I have no idea. I've never played that venue prior to that, so it's like I just, you know, in my little corner, it didn't sound good.
I see.
And maybe that's the dynamics of the room. I don't know, but like, yeah, that was my experience.
I know how that is because sometimes you're up there and it sounds bad, or you can't hear yourself at all, but people are like, no, it's fine, just play. And then you're like, does anyone even hear me? It's a mess.
Right. And like, and obviously it's like people are there having fun, drinking beers. Like they're not criticizing it in the moment. They're just trying to have a good time. And like,
exactly.
Looking at the videos of it, I'm like, oh, people had a good time. Like, that was fine.
I thought it was great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I'm particular, and I didn't have any issue with it.
So, yeah, there you go, right? Like, you're your own worst critic. So I was just getting in my own way. And now I'm just like, okay, post-COVID, all that stuff, it's just like, man, fuck that. Like, go up there, try to have some fun. Somebody else is going to have some fun, too.
Exactly. Well, we look forward to more. So, folks, follow Hopesfall at Hopesfall on Instagram, Twitter. Find them on Facebook. I guess you just follow. I'm not on Facebook. What, do you just find it and then follow the page or whatever?
I think so.
Yeah, do that.
I recently got back on Facebook, but just to promote my own little like foundation training business. But then I just run it through Instagram. I don't actually do anything on Facebook. It just says like Instagram has like an option is like share on Instagram and Facebook, and I just click yes.
Josh has his own foundation training page too. So find him. What is it? How can they find you on Instagram?
Adapt CLT, which stands for Charlotte. Adapt Charlotte. Yeah.
And if you haven't heard episode 7 of our podcast with Josh, go back and listen to that, because I really think there's something to this foundation training stuff, and what Josh managed to do for himself, I think is pretty incredible. And if you're suffering from pain or something like that, maybe he can help you too.
It's true. It's true. But it's funny, like Adam, our drummer, was like, dude, you talked for like 40 minutes about not Hopesfall on an interview. I was like, yeah, you're right. Sorry. And I didn't, I just got caught up. I was talking about the shit that I'm into.
Honestly, dude, like we barely talk about the band anymore with the bands.
We don't care.
That's like secondary to just the regular conversations. I'm more interested in learning about the people, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Yeah, what's your life like?
Yeah, I want to unpack everything. I want to know the person. Because everyone's heard the music stuff. We recorded it, we put it out, unless there's like some big blow up or fight or like major crisis, it's, whatever.
And all of our drama was it's so old now. It's just like, it's just old.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing is like, do you want to have a conversation where we're like actually talking about real stuff and be like, oh yeah, guys, you guys recorded that album. Where was it? At a studio. Okay. What kind of preamps do you guys use? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, if we were like an actual podcast for tech people that were like really into the technical side of music, you fucking signed up for the wrong place. Because Keith and I know nothing. Like,
I just buy shit. I don't know anything about equipment. I just buy like stuff my friends are selling or stuff that other people play that I see that I like. You know what I mean? I don't know anything.
I have a really good insider, like my buddy Chad, who plays bass in Hopesfall, but his better at guitar than me by a lot. Like, he is a gear junkie. And so I just run everything past him. It's like, Chad, what do I want? And he tells me, and I'm always happy.
I love that.
You always need a guy. You need a guy to go
I got
to.
a guy. I got a good guy for this. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. Well, Josh, it's always a pleasure, and we look forward to more. And shit, once you're back out there, we're going to come see you again.
Dude, I can't wait to see you guys, man. Like, and meet in person. Like, I'm
Right?
very hopeful, like, within the next calendar year, that will be a reality.
All right. Well, thank you, Josh, and we'll see you soon. All right, folks, and we're back. Tommy, let's talk about some of our favorite guests and favorite moments from the show. We're going to go in no particular order here, but one of my favorites, Jim Ward from Sparta, one of my favorite musicians between At the Drive-In and Sparta especially. I was honestly surprised when he messaged me back and was like, yeah, I'll come on. I was like, yes. And dude, just a really pleasant soul. And I was always really curious what happened with that At the Drive-In reunion.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad I got to ask that question, and just really, really awesome conversation. Would love to have him back on the show sometime.
For sure. Yeah. And you know what? If you haven't checked out the new Sparta stuff, there is a song called Empty Houses. It is so fucking good. And in my head, I hear the riff from that and I go, he wrote this stuff from At the Drive-In that I love.
I hope I can tell him this one day, but when he was on the show, he said people got mad at him and said, like, this isn't a Sparta album. And whoever said that is dumb, and they're not listening close enough, because it's so a Sparta album. The riffs are so Sparta. The only difference is it's not like super loud, aggressive music anymore.
And they haven't done that since Wiretap Scars anyway. So, like, I don't understand why people don't get that transition. But it's one of those things that the band changes ever so slightly and people are like, fuck that band. Like, okay.
Yeah. Give Trust the River a chance. Listen to it. It's some of their best work to date.
All right. So mine is episode 18 with Brad Truax from Interpol. And specifically because I think it was the first time that we really hit a stride with talking to an artist, not about their art, but about them and life in general. And it got very philosophical and very, very personal, like very quickly. And it felt like when we were done, I was like, that last 35 to 40 minutes, we hit, that was something special. Like that was something we haven't done before. And I want to go back to that. I love that feeling that we had in that moment.
Yeah. We actually had a segment we talked about where we were going to like try to force that, you know what I mean? Like the closing words thing. But I realized you can't manufacture those moments. You just have to, they just happen in the course of conversation. I'd want to say Brad is an excellent guest. He's been on twice and a good friend too. I was talking to him earlier today and just an all around great guy.
The other part of it, so it kind of dovetails with this episode 45, Philip from Caspian.
Yes,
because that exact same type of talking that was fun and entertaining, but also delved into things that were extremely serious. I felt that again when we were done with that. I got done that episode and went, that was amazing.
Yes, and the conversation flowed. We must really be all on the same wavelength because the conversation flowed so well, and he's just such a nice, thoughtful person. I absolutely love that one, and he turned us on to that Woodstock '99 video of Korn.
That
we talk about in every episode.
Well, he's not wrong. It's a goddamn fucking great video. God damn.
I'm going to post that next on our Instagram account, and we'll see if it gets even more traction than the Beastie Boys clip. Yeah. We talked about rebranding as a Beastie Boys podcast because that little clip I posted of that video of theirs I always watch has gotten more traction than anything we've ever posted of our own.
I looked at it one day and it was like over 2,000 views. I was like, what the fuck was this? Like, I saw the notification come up on my phone. I was like, hold on a second. What is this? What is this 2,000 views for? And then in my head, my immediate thought is Anthony reposted it and a bunch of people went and watched the video of something. And I'm like, I don't think we have any videos with Anthony. I'm like, what is it? And then I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's the Beastie Boys thing. Hilarious.
Yeah. Did you watch the YouTube video of that whole performance?
No, I did not.
You should check it out. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's like up there with Korn at Woodstock 99.
See, I like the Beastie Boys a lot. I just, for some reason, I think MTV overplayed that video. Remember the Sabotage video with them all in the cop cars, and it was like kind of filmed like a early 70s cop TV show. I just got sick of that song, and I don't listen to the Beastie Boys like ever, but that performance is unbelievable because they have a guy on keys, they have two percussionists, they have the DJ, and they have all three of them playing the instruments for the song. It's incredible. Yeah, that's one of those things. My brother-in-law gave me a record a long time ago, and it was called Aglio e Olio. I think it means with oil and vinegar, but it's basically their punk rock kind of EP that they put out, and it was really good. And it's very just straightforward punk rock. Like it is not. There's no rapping at all.
No, they started as a straight like thrash punk band.
Yeah.
All right, so more discussions that we really loved on the show. Liam Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Another one, I think similar to Brad, and where we just got like very deep into cool discussions about life and philosophy and religion and all that kind of stuff. Very interesting guy. Pro podcast guest for sure.
The one that I really was like, I go back to is Anthony. And it's for such a selfish reason. Anthony has like a 3 to 4 minute thing where he talks about me being in the band and playing music with me. And it's just so glowing. If I'm ever really having a bad day or I don't feel like, all right, like if we're doing the podcast and I'm like, oh man, I have so much work to do or I have grading to do or something, whatever. I listen to that and immediately I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like, because it's just him saying the nicest things in the world about me. And it's such a selfish reason to like that episode. Plus, he's been a good friend of mine for such a long time. Just to hear him talk about music and his passion for it and his passion for the fans and everything that goes along with just being him it's fascinating. Like it's just, I can listen to him talk for hours sometimes.
He was a very fascinating guest, and I was hanging on to every word. That 2-part episode run was excellent. So if you haven't heard it, go check it out. And it was crazy. Like by the time we recorded all of that in one night, and then we stayed on for like another 40 minutes talking afterwards.
Oh yeah.
And I felt like high afterwards. I felt like, I don't know, it was just like this weird energy. And I was like staring at the ceiling all night in bed, like, how am I going to post this thing? Do I put it all up at once? Do I break it in two? What, like, it was a really surreal experience. And I think a very awesome conversation. Because I haven't talked to Anthony since we were kids. That's what I like about this whole thing is that I get to have these conversations where I wouldn't get to have them normally.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the other thing is like we get to talk to people that I normally wouldn't have the opportunity to talk to. Like just even like thinking like, I mean, we get to talk to Anthony because I can just text him, but like, Nathan from Boy Sets Fire or, Tara from End of the Ocean or, like, and we also get to have, I think the thing that kind of that's been a running theme of this is like, we always just like to make fun of things and say things that like make us laugh. Like,
yeah,
E-Town Concrete's better than the Beatles. Like
they are though. They really are.
It's not a real. Yeah. It's not like a discussion. But I also think about like it's funny to just get people upset about that. Because I saw TJ wrote something in one of the comments and he tagged Vadim in it and was like, we have to talk to them.
Yeah.
We have to talk to them about this. Like,
don't you think it's weird that like other people, don't you think it's weird to get mad at like others people's opinions?
Oh yeah.
Like if I'm like, I like this and someone's like, no, that's wrong. Like that just seems like such a waste of time.
That's why I've had this discussion with my wife before, because she'll get mad at the kids. Like, she'll go like, why aren't you eating this? And they're like, I don't like that. And I'm like, yeah, if they don't like it, they're not going to eat it. Like, my wife hates certain foods. And I'm like, what if I just made a food like that all had, like, she hates horseradish. Like, if you had, like, what if I just made something that was like the main ingredient was horseradish? She's like, well, I wouldn't eat it. I'm like, well, of course you wouldn't fucking eat it because you hate it. Like, the girls don't like certain things and they're just not going to eat them. So like, don't try to push them to do it.
More conversations that we really enjoyed. Kevin Dye from Gates. Gates is probably my favorite newer band. And when I say newer, I mean like bands I got into after 2010. They're probably at the very top of the heap. And their music has helped me in some major ways through some of the toughest times in my life. So talking to Kevin and talking about the music and him sharing the story about his battle with cancer and all that stuff. Another crazy thing, that band almost broke up after Parallel Lives came out because they weren't happy with the response to the record.
Yeah.
Which I think is crazy because like I didn't even know that, and oh my god, the record is so good. Like, oh, it's just weird.
Another one of my favorites, Pat Troxel, because he is he's a fucking crazy person. He makes me fucking laugh so hard, and he tells it doesn't matter what Pat's talking about, he tells a really good story. No, but he knows what details to include. He knows what to fucking run past and be like, oh, I'm not spending time on that. Like, he knows what gets people's attention and fucking runs with it. It's so good.
Yeah, he kind of has a hand in this podcast getting started, because I think we had the idea, and then when we heard him telling all those stories outside of Kung Fu Necktie, I was like, this is going to be the show. He's a very engaging storyteller, like on the level of Anthony.
Oh yeah,
and he's just got endless entertaining stories.
And on top of that, like everything that Pat has done musically, I appreciate. Like whether it's Lovelorn or fucking Heroes Equal Shit, like everything he's kind of put his fingerprints on, I'm like, this is fucking cool. Like Pat gets it. Like Pat's fucking down. I really enjoy him, and just talking to him, because he'll go from one story to be like, yeah, by the way, that's when I was hopping trains for a while and lived in the Ewok village in Florida. And we're like, wait, say that part again. What are you talking about?
What a life, man. He's awesome. I can't wait to have him back on. And a couple more. Casey Iodine, awesome guest. That ended up being like such a surprise, awesome discussion, because Iodine Records weren't even on my radar really. And I mean, I just loved every second of it. Punk icon leaving. I mean, come on, you got us that one, Tommy. That was great.
I just love the fact that he talked about my dad for 45 minutes. Just asking questions about my dad growing up. That was fucking awesome for me.
I mean, that's surreal, amazing, real shit. Like it's just awesome.
I think one of my other favorite ones, and it's just because of like I hate to say it, but it's like because I like everything that they've kind of done. I like Scott Mellinger, episode 15, because even when I said something like, I love when you were in Creation is Crucifixion, he was just like, well, actually, I only played on In Silico and then a couple of the EPs, and Automata is a fucking genius work, but like I didn't play anything on there. Like that brutal honesty of like, he could have just been like, yeah, man, Creation is Crucifixion is fucking rad. I was in that. Like he goes with the truth over. This is a great story. Like I truly appreciate about that. And then on top of that, like he's a really great musician and he's a dad, and he's just like everything about him came off as genuine and likable. I really like that episode.
Yeah, for sure. And Pete Appleby, 2-time guest, legend. Renee Hartfeld is one of my absolute favorite bands, Memorial too.
I like the fact that he went to medical school. Like we're sitting there talking to her, like, so you're a dental surgeon now? Yeah. Like, okay. Like, and you make awesome music. That seems crazy, but so I really, really like the interview. It's episode 35 with Kenny from Vacationer and the Starting Line.
Yeah.
I was not a huge fan of the Starting Line. I really didn't even know any of their music really, but I knew Kenny as a part of the scene and somebody that makes awesome music. And now I see how awesome Vacationer is and just his DJ sets. And I literally go on his Instagram and watch him play bass along with stuff and then use the MPC. And I'm like, this guy's a fucking genius. Like he literally takes like bits and pieces of things that already exist, puts them together in a way that's completely new, and then improvises over it. Like I'm always in awe of people like that. It's like just fucking pure genius. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of great guests we've had is inconceivable even to me. So I want to wind down here and just thank everybody who's been on the show and who's given us their time to talk to us about their contributions to music and everything else. Tommy, I want to thank you for being a part of this thing. I can't imagine doing it with anybody else, nor would I want to. Yeah, I mean, it's just a wonderful, beautiful, unexpected project that is now ours, and we get to do it every week.
Yeah, and actually, that was funny. I actually wrote down, like, I have a little notepad here next to me, and I wrote down, make sure you thank Keith. So one of the things I wanted to say, and this is something that we've mentioned, actually, you even brought it up in the other thing, like when we were talking to Richie, like, I show up and talk. I send Keith the fucking files and walk away. Keith then does the real work, which is the editing, the getting guests, the posting, the maintaining all the sites, all the stuff that goes along with this. Like the real work behind this is all Keith. And it's honestly, it's a thankless job. The only time, this is probably one of the 4 times I've said thank you to you for this, like, because it's easy to come on here and be like, well, I'm taking time out of my day to do this. All right, I'm going to do this and we'll get it done. And then it's like when you're in the midst of it and doing it, you're like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And it all came from the fact that Keith had the initiative to be like, let's fucking do this. Because honestly, if I was at the helm of this, this would have been 3 episodes and done. Because I just don't have that drive like Keith does. When it comes to creative endeavors, I can walk away from creative things for months at a time. There's dust on one of my guitars. You know what I mean? Like I can walk away and be like, I don't care. Keith has this drive that's just innate and something that he really just wants to be doing. And I just don't have that. And I truly appreciate Keith's dedication to this because there's days where we fucking record this on a Wednesday night and he edits it all Wednesday night and all day, all day Thursday after he's done work and sends it off to Richie to get mastered. Like, yeah. It's ready for Monday morning. Like, and without fail, every Monday morning at 9 a.m., like clockwork, everything's posted where it needs to be. Everything's done. And Keith has saved my ass a couple times because he's gone, ooh, there was a thing where I left your name in. I'm going to go ahead and fix it now. Don't worry about it. And then he'll just, send me a quick text and be like, yo, just double check it. I just took it out, so it should be okay. I'm like, fuck, dude, you're a fucking lifesaver. So I truly appreciate what you do, Keith. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much because, I mean, honestly, I've all but walked away from all of this stuff. Like I feel bad. There's sometimes bands that you guys start talking about and you go, hey, you remember? And I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember any of this. So it's just, it's so great to be a part of this. And I'm so happy we get to do this with each other. And like you said from the beginning, I think one of the biggest themes we continuously go back to is friendship. This is all about us being friends and sharing funny stories and memories and talking about life.
Exactly. And thank you for that. And I know I complain about the editing and some of the work sometimes, but I really do love it. And quite honestly, it saves my life. You know what I mean? This gives me something to do, and that me staying occupied in positive and productive things saves my life. So from Tommy and me, thank you to everybody who listens. Thank you to all the members. Remember, you're a member when you say you are. All you got to do is say it and you're in. Continue to write us. Continue to listen to us. Continue to be a part of this. You can get in touch with us at northeastscene@gmail.com or the Instagram, the NEscene. Those are the easiest ways to get in touch with us. And I mean, the response has been great, and we want to keep moving forward. And we love this. We love you. We're all in this together. So thanks everybody for listening, and until next time.